up, gang? Thank you so much for joining me today. We're gonna do a little shop my stash, get ready with me. I already shopped the stash yesterday afternoon. I had baby Red up here. He was watching and approving of my decisions. I really just dug in and I thought, what haven't I used in a while? And it's a really fun feeling and it kind of fills that need. If you ever get that urge, like, I wanna go shopping. I just wanna, get some new things, see some new things. And then you look through what you have and you remind yourself of things you've forgotten about, and it fills that little need in you, maybe to try something new. So I'm gonna pull a little bit of my hair back. Oh, and let me start out by showing you my little coffee nook area. I got the mini Keurig. I've got a little spinny thing with my coffees in it, a little tray that's holding my stevia and my creamers. I got a bunch of those off of Amazon, just like a variety pack. And anyway, I love my little area here. But something else that I really set out to do as I was shopping my stash this time, I wanted a ton of variety. Like, I really wanted to mix in a wide range of brands, from really high-end things to some very, very affordable things. So in that spirit, we're starting out with some Wet n Wild primer. This is one I know I loved. It's their water drop primer, and this is the cucumber scent, and it's super refreshing, and it looks like this weird kind of pea green color, but as you work it into the skin, it just turns so thin, and like a nice little added layer of moisture, but some smoothness as well. It gives more consistency to the surface of my skin. And did you notice I've got like not one but two breakouts today? Yay! No, I think I know what it's from. I've been using that new It Cosmetics night cream. They call it a pillow cream or whatever. I don't know about that. I don't know if it's the scent in it. It is kind of fragranced. I'm not positive, to be honest, but that's been like the skincare change. And my makeup, I can't really point to one thing that's really odd and different. So anyway, I love that primer. And then here is the foundation I'm going to use today. It's my Bare Minerals Bare Pro Performance Wear Liquid Foundation. I have it in cashmere. And from what I remember, I enjoyed this quite a bit in the past. It's very liquidy. And I'm just going to dab this around and then blend it in. It's just been so long since I've worn it, I kind of forgot like the effect on the skin. So I just wanted to reacquaint myself. I've got my Sigma F80 Air, actually, is the one that I'm using today. So it's the same shape as an F80, but the bristles are more of like almost a duo fiber type deal. It's fun to use from time to time. A little tired from the Super Bowl last night. Watched the whole thing. Really good game. The halftime show was, gosh, if you're a lover of choreography, big dance numbers and stuff like that, there was some really impressive stuff going on there, I thought. And I also woke up to a lot of the memes going around that show Blanche from Golden Girls, and it says like 50-year-olds in 1985 versus 50-year-olds in 2020. But I do kind of love that two moms over the age of 40 like dominated the halftime show. That was pretty cool. This is kind of a medium coverage foundation. It has, I'd say, a pretty matte look right now. Well, now that I turn my head, I'm not quite sure. Kind of a natural finish, like the look of natural skin, but not as glowy as some things I've used, not really as glowy as my L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow, let's say. And then for concealer, we're gonna pop on this Huda Beauty, the Overachiever Concealer, and I have this in the shade Meringue. And I recall this to be a very full coverage product. It's got like this kind of cooling tip, so I'm just gonna get a little bit out and go like whoop. There's another foundation I haven't used in a while, the Huda one. It's nice to get that feel of the tip, but it's kind of hard to control how much is coming out. I'm just using this Sephora, it's the Pro Airbrush Concealer brush. And it gets into the inner corner really nicely. Just blend that around. Used a very small amount here. I'd love to hear if you're kind of trying to adopt in 2020 more of a use what you have type of mentality, because I am trying to. And the products I'm gonna really try to hit hard, I think, are foundations and concealers, I know I bounce around a lot with different powder products, different blushes, highlights, bronzers, eyeshadows, and it's not that I don't want to hit pan on more of those things or use them up. If it happens, that's great. But I feel a little more under the gun to really get some use out of the these foundations and concealer type products, just feeling like I've got a little too much, and maybe I would even declutter some too. But I always benefit from kind of a last chance sort of reminding myself about products. I might do another Shop My Stash soon with the sole purpose of using things I'm pretty skeptical about and kind of giving them one last chance. Oh, for powder, I ran across this the other day and I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot how much I love that. The MAC Next to Nothing powder. I wear it in Light Plus, and this came as a recommendation from Dustin Hunter. If you haven't checked out his channel, you may want to do so. But it's a very nice, soft, just beautiful texture for a powder. And I can kind of use it like under eye setting powder, but I can also set my whole face with it. It's just a really nice creaminess to the powder. So the blemishes are still there. I can still see them, but at least they're a little less red. So I'm just dipping into it very gently with a larger brush now to get all over the face. A brush can pick up a lot of this powder potentially, so you do want to be kind of light with it as you dip in. What I'm left with right now is a nice, very even, but pretty matte complexion now that we've powdered. So the bronzer I chose is gonna, I think, amp up the glow and just give our skin a little more life. It's from Believe Beauty, which is Dollar General's brand, and Tahitian Sun, this bronzer, I recall being one of my favorite things. I need to kind of dive into more of the products that I have from this brand. But it's sort of a glowy bronzer, and it does have a really nice tone that seems very natural for my skin. I noticed like just a little bit of a reddish tone in this. And I like that the glow is kind of a subtle sort of satiny finish as it shears out on my skin. Do a little soft like hint of a contour over here. Love it. So this brand, if you're not familiar with it, it is exclusive to Dollar General. And I think max price on everything is just $5. A lot of things falling under that mark. So Red is still sleeping in our room, you know, he sleeps kind of beside our bed. So I've got like just this black nursing tank on. That's what I wore to bed. That's what I had on when I got up. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to throw something else on, you know, over the top of it. And I knew I had like a couple of cardigans draped over a chair in the bedroom, but I definitely wasn't going to be turning on any lights, and I like just didn't want to rock the boat at all. I just fed him and got him put down. And so I'm feeling around in the darkness thinking I get my hands on a cardigan, and I did, but it's just like kind of a boring black one. Like, we could have used a little life and color here today, but I was like, okay, you got your hands on a sweater, let's just get out. It's that season of life, my friends, and I was looking through the Echo Show that we have in several different places in the house. It has a setting where if you have Amazon Photos, it'll access those photos and it'll give you the ones like on this day, however many years ago, you know, you have your photos backed up. And it's just crazy how like a tiny Nookie looks and Biddy look, you know. They're at that point where they're changing so fast all the time. Anyway, this is the blush I picked out. It's a L'Oreal True Match blush in the shade Tender Rose. And it has a little bit of a satin finish here. It kind of reminds me at a glance of maybe one of the shades, like one of those more muted mauve-y shades in my Beauty Bakery palette, but I don't think it has as much glow as those do. But just color-wise, at a glance, it reminds me of that. And I don't think I purchased this one all that long ago. I had realized I was pretty unfamiliar with this line and picked up a couple, but just didn't continue to get a ton of use out of them. But that shade is so nice. Kind of reminds me also of the look of Saucy Mauve from Physicians Formula Butter Blushes, if you have that one. That's going to give you a similar look to this too. Oh, that's just lovely. Very fresh and pretty. And then to complete our drugstore trifecta of face color products, I grabbed out this from Wet n Wild. This is the Earth Mega Glow Highlighting Bar. So remember they did the Zodiac stuff, and so this is the Earth collection, and it's kind of golden champagne-y shimmer. I have not used this hardly at all. Oh, it's really pretty though. Wow. It's super shimmery, but I like that it's not at all chunky. Just a really smooth sheen on the skin. Nice. And for setting spray, here's something that I loved, and it just kind of got pushed back a little bit. It's this Farsali Rose Gold Skin Mist, and here's something that's feasible to use up, right? I've gone through a decent amount here, but I'm gonna use that today.
Oh yeah,
Oh, the scent. The scent is taking me back to another time. Love that. That really gives me like an instant glow. Oh, I picked a brow product. I've got this Brow Last from Physicians Formula. I like this stuff. It takes a little finesse, as I sometimes say with certain brow things. Like, it's a kind of a goopy little situation here. It's a very liquidy cream, and you got this little tiny brush that you really need to get some excess off of. But once you get it in the brows and kind of get it worked through with the spoolie also on the other end, you get a really nice look and a nice hold out of this. And it's kind of cool that they've created a product where all the parts are sort of self-contained. So I'm trying not to go too far here. Use my little brush. Try not to whisk this through my hair. So last night for the Super Bowl, we decided to do some ribs in the Instant Pot. So Bub, you know, he likes to barbecue, and he actually uses sous vide to do ribs quite often. Like, it's the best way to do ribs. But the amount of time you can get stuff done in the Instant Pot, like, that's really no comparison. You can get it done basically in 35 to 40 minutes in the Instant Pot. So we thought, what the heck, we'll try it. If it's not wonderful, no big deal. We'll know, like, if we enjoy it. So he had gone to the store and picked up the ribs. I get out the Instant Pot. We're supposed to put them on a trivet in the bottom of the Instant Pot. And I'm like, well, I don't have a trivet. We were given alongside it a steamer basket thing, but it would sit the ribs up too high, so we couldn't get the lid on. So Bub tries to make a trivet out of foil, like a handmade thing, which did end up working. But then we kept getting this burn message from the Instant Pot once the ribs were in. So things are starting to get stressful in the kitchen. Bub and I are starting to get snippy with one another, yes. You got one person who knows a little bit about an Instant Pot and one guy who knows a lot about ribs, and so he's like, you know, I'll handle it, but I'm like, what about, you know, the settings and the liquid, and the recipe didn't call to put any liquid in. And then I look up some other rib recipes and they definitely do. So then he just tosses in a can of A&W root beer in the bottom and is like, hey, this'll work. And I'm like, you know, being a little skeptical, but put the lid on, get it in there set it for 20 minutes. And you know what? Those ribs were delicious. On a DIY foil trivet with a can of root beer, they cooked up quite nicely. I was really impressed, actually, at how tender they were. But then after the fact, we're talking about the trivets, and like, he had looked for one when he was at the store getting the ribs. He had just been looking at the Instant Pot accessory items, and he was like, yeah, it's funny how there's no trivets for sale. And then it dawned on me. We had a trivet. When we first opened the box, there was one in there, and I just immediately put it in a drawer and didn't think about it again, you know, and I hadn't done any dishes that called for it yet. So we had it all the time. Oh my gosh, great story. Instant Pots, there's stuff to know. There's equipment to have. I think these brows are working out pretty good. I feel like I'm not even thinking at all about what I'm doing because I'm telling this dang story. It's not really even that funny. But he's like getting ticked at me because I'm trying to micromanage the Instant Pot situation. And I'm getting ticked at him because I think you don't know anything about the Instant Pot and you're just starting to, you know, do things. We're okay now. Everything's fine. But I got my brows all done and they feel like they're really holding for sure. And then for the eyes, guys, I'm just going to prime my lids with Milani because I'm going to throw us a curveball today. The palette I chose, I can't remember the last time I used it, but actually in my little remember when pictures that I started looking through in my phone, I started like going through other ones, old makeup looks that I'd done. And I was like, oh my gosh, this look is so beautiful. And then I saw a caption on one like that I'd pulled from Instagram, and it was subculture. And I loved the look, and I'm like, I need to get this palette out again. Even though like some of the shades, I don't know if you guys remember, but it went through a lot of criticism for the colors being so like, you dip your brush in, tons of flaky fallout and stuff like that. You really have to pace yourself with this, but I want to use this today and I want to, I don't know, do kind of a dramatic type look. I think I'll do a spin on the technique, the lifted eye technique, but make it a little more, you know, more shades and a little more dramatic. I think I'm going to start actually with this shade called Untamed. So we're looking at like a dark, kind of a forest green color, I might call that. So I'm taking my flat brush and I've got my primer already on here. And we're gonna put this on the outer part of the lid, really deep shade. Flipping the brush over, and we'll let it come up. And instead of just doing like a quick little outer corner, I'm going to continue to grab more shadow. And for those of y'all who want some drama here, I'm gonna pull this outward quite a bit further than I did for the basic tutorial, we'll call that. Dang, this shade isn't showing a ton of green though. Doesn't it just look kind of dark? That's all right. So again, it's a patting motion, and it's of course not blended yet. We go back and do that. Really try to wedge it into your crease. Whatever crease you got, try to get it in there. And then lifting it up beyond the crease. If you've got like a hooded eye situation and you get up on the skin that's coming up above, you're raising your eye up really. Again, as this shade shears out, instead of looking more green or showing off more of its true color, I feel like it's just looking more black. Now I'm going to take my E25 brush and we're going to work over this darkness here a little bit. You're thinking, how is that going to get blended? I promise you it is. We're going right into the crease to get some blend that's going to take us inward, and we're also going over the very edge of the shadow to try to blend that out too. And then we're going to come in with some other shades to also like kind of give us a little different look in the inner crease and above the dark shade. For example, I think on the inner crease, let's take a little bit of this shade called All Star. I feel like I'm going to get a lot more than I bargained for with this. We're going to start kind of middle crease and pull in and really let it come up if you've got some space here. Letting it come up almost above that darker color, and we can see some berry infusion now, or confusion. Okay, we're liking that. Like, it's getting murky up in here. I'm getting darkness going all the way up to my brow area, basically. This is a little different for me, but I like the introduction of that shade, and then maybe a little bit of Roxy. This peach was, gosh, a ton of fallout with that shade. But if I could work some of that up above, and then maybe I'll bring in a blending brush for that too, because things are getting a little murky. So bare brush now, just going over my edge shades, going from dark green to berry to a little peak of peach on the outside. I might add a little bit of this Axis shade, which looks like a little bit darker teal. Kind of like it has a bit more color punch than Untamed. And I'm popping this over my lid. Still leaving a gap on the inside, just because I don't know what I want to put there yet. And along with getting this on the lid, I am also letting it go to my crease a bit more. I want it to sort of transition into those other shades. So I'm taking a really small crease brush and just letting it work around. We might have just a little bit of fallout here, but I'm dusting it away, or trying to anyway. And then for the lid, for this light part in here, I think I'm gonna do some Adorn, okay, so this coppery shade, and then maybe overlap. Cube is sort of weird because it looks actually pinky, but I may pull some of that in to overlap like the innermost corner. But let's take Adorn, pat some of that right over this zone. A little splash of color here. It's interesting to see that shade try to overlap with the teal, because they're just not really in the same family, you know? Adorn is a really pretty bronze, though. I don't recall being so critical of this palette as some people were back in the day. Like, some people thought this was an utter fail, but this sort of grungy, very fall-esque, you know, color scheme, I love it. I do think some of the textures make it difficult, make it tricky. You just have to work so slowly with them and build up so carefully. And here I'm just using my finger to sort of merge that edge between my copper and my teal. And then for a little unexpected, like I said, pinky twist out of Cube, we're gonna hit up that innermost corner. Uh-oh, oops, I accidentally dipped into Dawn and then dipped it into Cube. Ah! Okay, there we go. I don't know if you can really see what's happening here, but it's like lightening and brightening that inner corner with a hint of pinky tone. When it hits the light different ways, it looks brighter, and then when it's not, it looks more pink. Okay, and then I'm going to take a little bit of Axis again, which is our shade that kind of bumped up our outer lid color, and I'm going to smudge this with a pencil brush down here on the lower lash line. And I don't really want it to get heavier than that down there. Like, I just want to follow that color from my outer corner down and let it be. The only other adjustment I might make is actually going into a little bit of All Star and a little bit of Roxy, both of them, to create a little better peachy berry fade out of my darkness here. Yeah, I really like those two shades together, actually. I feel like a person fairly familiar with eyeshadow palettes could see what I've done here and probably be able to say that is subculture. You know, that is a subculture look. But I have had some fallout here that's bothering me, and I might just, I guess, add a hint more concealer to clean that up. I don't really like to have to do this, but that's gonna bug me. If I just keep it very light, and I'll also lighten up this side too, just for symmetry's sake. There we go. It was so minor, but it needed re-brightening. And then that also kind of lifts and brightens my outer corner too. I shot my stash for a liquid liner I haven't used in a while. This is from Thrive, and it's the Infinity Waterproof Liquid Liner. You guys know how I enjoy the Liquid Lash Extensions mascara on my lower lashes, but this just has not gotten a lot of use. I'm just going to take this across the upper lash line. It was so warm here yesterday. It got up to, like, I want to say 65 degrees or something in the afternoon. We had windows open. I'm hearing birds chirping this morning. It's seeming oddly spring-like. I'm giving it a little wing at the end. One thing about this palette, though, it gets so messy. Like, there's little just fallout and shadow everywhere. Oh, guys, and the tray that I put my makeup in, look, it's one of the paintings my sister did, but they have acrylic trays on Society 6 where you can get, like, prints and little stuff, you know, with their art on it. And so I thought this crayons picture was so cute to have that way. I need just a little more blending with my pencil brush and that darkest teal Axis. Just kind of under my wing. It cleans that up a little bit. Always like my outer edge when I do a wing. I like it to all be kind of connected. And then my mascara is my Chanel Le Volume de Chanel. And this is most definitely on its last legs. Like, I've had this for a little while, and I feel like, gosh, if I want to get any use out of it, it has to happen now. I can't really keep this on hand any longer. But I wasn't over the moon with this mascara when I first got it. I like it better now, just popping it on there. I feel like, wow, okay, that's building up a little more nicely, a little more quickly. But it's just funny how certain mascaras give us this bar, you know, that gets set. Like, for me, it's Superhero. It sets a high bar for other mascaras. So when I approach the lashes with a different wand and a different formula, I'm kind of thinking, okay, I know exactly how fast Superhero builds up and gives me that drama and length, and it kind of lessens my patience for other stuff. Oh man, I love how with the Echo shows it just gives you random stuff. It's kind of like a scrolling Pinterest feed almost at times. And the thing that just popped up is how to make cake pops. I would like to make those sometime. My kids, we don't often go to Starbucks, like we don't have one right handy in our town. The neighboring town has one, and oh my gosh, I've got more fallout from that little thing I did under the eye. Oh gosh, I gotta keep correcting. But I was gonna say, my kids have had Starbucks cake pops on like 2 occasions, and it really has stuck with them because they'll periodically be like, I wish I had a cake pop again. I bet you do. Speaking of cake though, we had a super fun Grinch-themed Grinchmas party for all of the January birthdays in my family. Talk about burying the lead. I mean, that was a huge part of the weekend there. Pup was here. We had so much fun, like just rip-roaring laughs whenever she's around. And Biddy had just said she wanted a Grinch-themed party. So it's Bub, my mom, and Pup, and her that are all our January birthdays. And so I made it happen, and I worked with the theme and made all these little foods that had the Grinch theme, and I was so proud of it. It really worked out great, came together nicely. Everybody had a ball. Okay, that's the last time I'm adding any additional concealer to this look. I already feel like I need to throw on another skin mist. Oh my gosh, look. mascara. What do I say at times like this? Sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug. With the mascara there, I just dabbed it away with the Q-tip, and I'm taking a hint of powder over the area now. Do I even risk trying to apply mascara to my lower lashes on a day like today? I'm gonna try it. Thrive Liquid Lash Extensions. The look is just so dramatic. I want to be balanced because I have put eyeshadow there, and that's kind of my rule of thumb. If I go down on the lower lash line with eyeshadow, then I'm definitely gonna try to use some mascara there too. So this is not Shop My Stash. This is what I tend to use most days if I'm gonna do lower lash mascara. It's the Thrive, because it goes nowhere. It ain't going nowhere. Now for lips, there's definitely a sea of lip products I could have chosen, but I thought, okay, I'm gonna grab a lip liner. I don't use lip liner often, so this one's from NARS, and it's called Marine, I think. Precision lip liner, just a pencil. Let's see what it looks like here. I think it's gonna be kind of a mauve-y, pinky shade. It's actually kind of dark. The lipstick I chose is Bond Girl from Charlotte Tilbury. It's just a shade that I thought would work really pretty alongside the Subculture palette. And I should have balmed my lips up because they're feeling dry. This liner is not especially creamy, but it'd be fine if I had, you know, balm on my lips. So here is Bond Girl. I've used this lipstick quite a bit. I've worn down the shape of it quite a bit, but see what that color's like? It's so pretty. It's like if Dusty Rose mixed with a little Rust and a little berry. Pretty. This is kind of a dramatic look. I think the cheeks need a little more color at this point, especially because I've gone so light and reconcealed and reconcealed. Again, this was the shade Tender Rose. A little Tender Rose. Putting that kind of on the top of the cheeks, letting it come up. What do we think, guys? Feeling kind of a fall vibe with this look, maybe? Let's take the hair down. I haven't gotten this involved with an eye look for some time, like maybe before baby. But I gotta say, I'm liking it. That palette is a challenge, but the color scheme I do really enjoy. What else do I feel like were my best rediscoveries here? I love the MAC Next to Nothing powder. Gonna be using that more. This blush is really great. Really, the blush bronzer highlight that I ended up with in this video all impressed me. It really reminded of what a stunning lip color Bond Girl is, and this is gonna wear so well. This almost reminds me of like the staying power I get with a Besame lipstick. Some of these, I think it's called Matte Revolution from Charlotte Tilbury. The mascara's all right, the liner's okay, the lip liner was pretty dry. This Huda concealer is very, very full coverage, not especially moisturizing though, so keep that in mind if you're considering it. I like the Brow Last a lot. I need to use that before it goes bye-bye because I don't think there's a ton left. And the foundation, really, I can't complain. You know, it's giving me a very nice, even base for all this. So yeah, that's my look. That's my Shop My Stash moment here. Let me know if you want to see more of this. I really want to do more of it for sure. And kind of like more with a chopping block mentality, like shopping my stash for things that I'm really teetering on the edge about. At the end of the video, we'll show what we decided to declutter. I think that would be a fun future one to do. I've done it before and you guys really liked it. So thanks again, and I will see you soon. Bye.